Hello everyone. In this lesson we will answer the question, what exactly is WordPress? The boring, soulless answer is that WordPress is a free tool that helps us create websites and blogs. Okay, but humans don't learn from boring, soulless answers, right? We learn from real-world examples. So in this lesson, I'm going to share my screen and visually show you what WordPress is. It's important to point out that in this lesson, I do not want you to worry about following along step by step on your computer. In our next lesson, you'll get your hands dirty and learn how to set up your own WordPress website that you are the owner of. Okay, but in this current lesson, I want you to take your hands off the keyboard, sit back, relax, and just watch. So right now we're looking at a completed example of a WordPress website. I think that oftentimes the best way to understand something is to begin by looking at a finished product and dissect it. And then once you have a general understanding of what your goal is and the basic moving pieces involved, at that point then it's easy to create your own brand new project from scratch. So here we see the home page of this example website, and up in the header we see links to different pages. So if I click on About Us, here's the About Us page. It's got a bit of text, an intro video, a photo, a bit of text. If I scroll back up to the navigation, we see there's a link named Photo Gallery. So if I click that, it takes me to another page. This page is dedicated to all of these different photographs. And if we click on one of these thumbnail versions, a larger full screen version appears, and then we can click these arrows down at the bottom to cycle through the photos. Or we could click this X in the top right to close out of the full screen preview. Okay, so that's the photo gallery page. In the header navigation, we also see another link named Travel. So if I click that, this travel page is a collection of different stories or posts related to travel. So first we see Trip to the Midwest. If I scroll down further, we see Trip to the West Coast. And finally, Trip to the East Coast. And let's say a visitor of this website was interested in the Trip to the West Coast story. After they read this initial paragraph, they could click on this Continue Reading button, and that would take them to this new page with the full story. Back up in the header navigation, we also see we have a page named Recipes. So if I click on that, it's similar to the travel page. So now we have a collection of stories that are about recipes. So the first one is Greek salad. Then we see another one, homemade French bread. And finally, easy spaghetti. And again, if we are interested in any of those, we could click on the Continue Reading button or the title itself. Back up in the header navigation, finally, we have a page named Contact Us. So let me click on that. On this page, we see the company's telephone number, their address. If I scroll down a bit, we see an interactive Google Maps widget. This allows you to show your visitors where your corporate office is or something along those lines. If I scroll down further, we see a contact form that visitors can fill out. So they enter their name, their email, a subject line. They can choose the service they are interested in, so the reason they're contacting you. And then obviously they can type out a message to you and click Send. So that's the Contact Us page. If I scroll back up to the top and click on the logo here, that takes me back to the home page. And that's the website in a nutshell. Now, so far we haven't seen anything specifically related to WordPress. All we've seen so far is a typical website just like any other. So the question becomes, where and how does WordPress fit into the equation? Well, let's imagine we are the owners of this website and we want to make a few changes to it. So for example, if I click back to the About Us page, let's imagine we are not happy with this opening paragraph of text. We want to change it. We want to make a few edits to it. Now, the first thing we need to do is prove to WordPress that we are the owners of the website, right? Because this isn't Wikipedia. We don't want just anyone from the general public who visits our website to be able to edit our website. So to prove to WordPress that we are indeed the owners of this website, we need to visit the login page. So let me switch over to a new tab in my web browser. This is the login page for my WordPress website. For now, don't worry about how to navigate to this screen. We will cover that in detail in our next lesson. For now, just know that I'm going to log in with my username and password, to prove to WordPress that this is my website. Once I sign in, WordPress will take me over to this administrator dashboard screen. Now, the general public will never, ever, ever see this screen. This section is only for the eyes of the owner of the website. Okay, so this is where we edit and manage and build the website. Now let's get back to the task at hand. So remember, back on our website, we want to edit this text that lives on the About Us page. Now the key word there is page. We are interested in the About Us page. So over in the administrator dashboard, along the left-hand side of the screen, there's an item in this menu named Pages. So I'm going to click that. And then WordPress will show me a list of all of the pages on my website. There's no limit to how many pages you can have on a WordPress site. If we did want to create a new one, we could just click this button that says Add New. But in our case right now, we don't want to create a new page. We want to edit the existing About Us page. So here it is. It's the first page in the list. So I'll click that. And now from this screen, I can edit the page. If I wanted to change the title of the page, I could use this field. So I can type here, but we want to leave the title About Us. Remember, our goal was to edit this intro paragraph. So maybe after this first sentence, I want to add a new sentence that reads, "Our company has been around for over a decade." Maybe I even want this new sentence to be bold, so I can just use my cursor to highlight the text. And then within this menu, we see the traditional B icon for bold. Perfect. Okay, so at this point, I'm happy with my change. I want to save my change. So over on the right-hand corner of the screen, I want to click this blue Update button. All right, my changes were successfully saved. And now, if we jump back to the public-facing website that anyone in the world can see, if I refresh this About Us page, there we see our new sentence. All right, let's give ourselves another example task. So for example, over on the travel page of my website, let's imagine that we are not happy with the intro paragraph for the trip to the West Coast story. So maybe we want to make an edit to this text. Now you might think that our first step is to head back over to the administrator dashboard of WordPress and click on Pages in the sidebar. But you'll notice that Trip to the West Coast is nowhere to be seen in this list of pages. And that's because the Trip to the West Coast story is not a page. It is a post. So what's the difference between a page and a post? Well, I will explain the difference in about 10 seconds from now. But first, I just want to say that you don't need to worry about memorizing the difference right now in this lesson, because this is a topic that we will revisit again and again throughout the course. But for now, I will say that a page is an independent entity. It's something that can stand on its own, right? So we saw an example of that in the About Us page, whereas a post is part of a collection of multiple posts. So in this instance, the West Coast trip story is a part of a collection of travel-related posts. And if we want to make changes to it, we can just look in the left-hand sidebar menu of the WordPress Administrator dashboard and click on this menu item named Posts. All right, here we see a list of all of the posts on the website. Greek salad, homemade French bread, easy spaghetti, trip to the Midwest. Aha, trip to the West Coast. This is the one I want to edit, so I click it. Let's imagine I want to add a new sentence after this first sentence, so I just place my cursor here. The trip lasted 3 days and was wonderful. I'm happy with that change, so then I would click this blue Update button on the right-hand side of the screen. But before I do that, I want to point out a little something about this Categories menu. This Trip to the West Coast story shows up under Travel on my website because that's the category that we've assigned it. If instead we wanted this story to live under Recipes, we could just check that box. Okay, but obviously I want to leave it categorized under Travel, so let's change that. Scroll back up, click Update. All right, my changes were saved, and now if I switch back to the public-facing view of my website and refresh, remember I'm currently on the Travel page of my site. If we scroll back down to the West Coast story, here is the new sentence. Perfect. Now, believe it or not, over the last 10 minutes, you've just learned about 90% of WordPress. Pages and posts are the heart and soul of WordPress websites. It's really that simple. Now, before we bring this lesson to a close, here's a review of the key points that I want you to walk away with from this video. I have 4 main points. Number 1, we have the public-facing portion of the website that the entire world can see. Number 2, we have the administrator dashboard screens that only the owner of the website has access to, and that's where they manage the website from. Number 3, we have pages and we have posts. And our 4th and final point is one that I didn't verbalize until right now, but you may have picked up on it subconsciously. And that is that in WordPress, there's a separation between content and presentation. So what does that phrase mean, separating our content from our presentation? Well, let's define our terms. So content in this context refers to the titles of our pages and posts, and to the actual paragraphs of text, right? So content refers to our raw data. Presentation refers to the design of our website. So the colors, the spacing, the layout, the fonts, typography, the header, the footer. You get the point. Presentation refers to design or stylistic choices. Now in this lesson, we only saw examples of how to edit content. We did not learn how to edit presentation. Don't worry, you can definitely edit the presentation of WordPress websites. You are not locked into this design or theme. We'll learn how to change our presentation later on in the course. But I did want to mention that concept of separating content from presentation as early in the course as possible, because it's a big part of what makes WordPress so powerful and flexible. And it's an idea that we'll circle back to many times in the course. All right, that's going to do it for this lesson. In our next lesson, you'll learn how to create your very own new WordPress website. It will start out as a completely empty, blank canvas, but you'll be the administrator of it. It'll be your blank canvas to work with. Also, I will be hitting the metaphorical reset button, and I'll start with a brand new empty WordPress website as well, so that way you and I can move forward together step by step. I'm excited to start rolling along and seeing what you'll create with WordPress. Let's keep things moving, and I'll see you in the next lesson.